What is going on, ladies and gentlemen of the holotables, and welcome back. It is bald-faced, bald-headed Scribbles. That's right, my lip and face is now bald. Mr. Scribbles is happy though. I thought we'd do something a little bit differently today, ladies and gentlemen of the tribe. I thought that today we would go and have a review over the last week of 3v3 and see what learnings that we can make. There's nothing that sells self-indulgence and narcissism than watching yourself on YouTube. Let's do this. Round 1, we saw ourselves facing off against Xaereth 7263. This is a 14.4 million GP player from the Green Alliance. The Alliance of Green People. Not people that are coloured green, they're just really in favour of environmental initiatives, I guess. Let's see, high level interview here. Looks like we compare about the same. He's got, a couple more Zetas than me. He's got one more GAC Omicron, but I've got a lot more useless ones. Looks like his modding is a hair better overall. I have just got more in the top end, the 25 plus. He has a lot more in the 20 to 24 range and all that good business. And my offense mods are slightly better by the looks of things, and defense mods as well. So yeah, I find this a lot. I tend to roll quite a lot of the high roll mods. I don't have enough of that bulk in the mid range. That sort of 20 plus, 20 to 25 range is quite difficult to hit. But there we go. On the relic levels, I do have him beat. I have got more overall relic levels than him, which is nice, which means I should have a relic delta advantage in this case, but he goes pretty hard on the Datacron re-rolling as well. Overall, I'd say I probably had a slight advantage here, all in all. Obviously, where you play in Kyber 1, everybody has all the GLs. They all have. When you're at 14 mil, you've got everything. It's just a case of where are your extra relic levels. There's not really much of a difference between us. I'd say it's a pretty even fight. First fight over here, I am looking for a Bo-Katan battle versus his Galactic legend, Ahsoka Ithano. I've been struggling to find a little bit of a use for Bo-Katan in the current meta with the Attacker-crons on Lord Vader. She doesn't really have a spot there. She's just going to get absolutely munched when she goes in versus Lord Vader. So somebody in the chat recommended, hey, why don't you try and use Bo-Katan Mandalore over here versus Glat. This Glat does not have Ezra, but it does have R9 Glat and R9 Sabine Wren, just a trusty R7 on the Hera Syndulla. So I can't really remember how this fight goes, so we're going to go to... Oh, yes, I remember this. This was absolutely brutal. We go in, and Hera, because they had that 25% turn meter, or something like that, I think it was the turn meter boost, or it was 20% turn meter for each light side ally, she managed to get the fracture on Bo-Katan, turn 1. And that just oh my god, it was painful. It slowed everything down to an absolute crawl. We couldn't take a turn with Bo-Katan for ages, and when we eventually did get the chance to take a turn, of course, she had her cooldowns increased because the enemy Ahsoka Tano managed to hit ultimate before our Bo-Katan even took her first turn. It was painful. Very, very painful. We decide to go into Whistling Bird stance, and they immediately trigger BAM so that he immediately uses his Whistling Birds. It was just a very painful experience. We finally get Bo-Katan out of Fracture temporarily so that we can focus a little bit on calling her to assist, raising up our ancestral armor, ancestral resolve, ancestral... something about somebody's ancestors at some point was happening, basically. And as you can see, Glat managed to get into ultimate and completely slowed down my Bo-Katan Mandalore. Very frustrating. We then lose BAM, and as you can imagine, feels bad, man. Feels bad, man. I was like, oh god, how bad is this going to be? Are we going to have to do a completely fresh start? With that in mind, we did start focusing down on Hera Syndulla. The reason I went for General Syndulla is because I didn't want to get my Bo-Katan fractured again. It is painful enough having Bo-Katan fractured once. We still haven't used her ability. The reinforcements have arrived. That's the one that does all of the damage because it's the double mass assist. It's, all the true damage coming out of Bo-Katan Mandalore. It raises our ancestral resolve. Still haven't used it yet. It's kind of painful. And there we go, we got Fracture once again on our trusty Bo-Katan Mandalore. So she's quite literally hanging around with her Darksaber in her hand, as that's the most PG-friendly version of this description that I can give at the moment. So we're literally just waiting. I think for about 3 minutes of this battle, we've had Bo-Katan Mandalore just chilling in Fracture. Painful to watch. We lost our BAM way too early, but thankfully, IG-12 and Grogu They're doing a pretty good job of just chilling, you know? We finally managed to get rid of Hera Syndulla over there, and we get rid of Padawan Sabine Wren back to back. And at this point, I'm like, oh, actually, maybe Bo-Katan is decent, and she's a good unit still. So I'm pretty sure I could have just gone full auto at this point. You can't really do much of a different interaction when all you've got is Bo-Katan, Mandalore, and your boy IG-12 and Grogu. So, and to be honest, just IG-12 and Grogu, still a pretty good combo, because on his basic, he's always going to call a random ally. That random ally is always going to be Bo-Katan, Mandalore. And you can see, even though we have got one negative relic delta on this team, because my Bo-Katan Mandalore is only relic 8, and Ahsoka Tano is apparently taking 195,000 turns in a row, we're still doing some decent amount of damage. That true damage coming in, doing real good work, actually. As you can imagine, from here, we do actually manage to clear up this team, which was rather nice. Banners, god-awful. Would I do it again? Yeah, probably. It was all right, really, wasn't it? I'm not a sweaty tryhard at GAC, guys. I'm just moderately sweaty, all right? Cool, 62 there. Next up, we've got a Rex 5 on the enemy team, and it is using the Rex FDC. Oh no, it's not the Rex FDC. This is actually the 5's Datacron at the moment. I thought, you know what, Rex 5s, I'm sure Gas will do some good work over here. They're getting a lot of buffs. I'm sure we'll just... Wow, that 5, sorry, is getting absolutely destroyed here at the moment. All those buffs just supercharge Gas. My only problem with using Gas in 3v3 or in 5v5, truth be told, in any sort of GAC matchmaking, is that he's almost always just god-awful banners. You almost always lose all your banners when you use Gas, and that's not fun. But hey, we still got a 55 here versus that Rex 5 combo. Next up, we had a bit of a fun one. I actually really enjoy this counter. My boy over here is using Adrad with the Adrad FDC, using Jin, using K2SO. You can actually pretty much treat this as a free counter for Phoenix, in the same way that, that the Inquisitorious counter works. Because they are constantly applying buffs on us, we are pretty much getting full turn meter loop. They don't really ever get a chance to take a turn. So I'm just going in Hera, Rex, throwing in Sabine, have a little bit of fun. You could probably put it on auto, even though they've got Relic 9 on Adrad. Granted, to be fair, I've got R9 on my C-Rex and R8 on Hera, but only R5 on Sabine. Pretty good victory, 57 banners. I'll take that any day. Next up, we were going for the big one. He has got Pirate King Hondo on defense with a Hondo Cron, full Relic 9, OG Hondo, Pirate King Hondo, and Vane. I decided we're going to take in Rey. I want to know if Rey can still beat this with the trusty Attacker Cron in 3v3. There are less buffs, there's less chance for him to gain all of that profit. Can we still clear this team using the Attacker Cron? Because if you haven't watched my video on this in 5v5, the Attacker Cron is the most valuable Datacron anybody can get right now. Get like 1100 of them. Seriously, you can never have too many attacking Datacrons, okay? So the idea behind this is chiefly get Rey into Ultimate and hope for the best. Get Rey into ult and hope for the best. So we go for the Whirlwind here because we can't ignore Taunt. We've got that debuff going, I think. I'm going to go ahead and put some Armor Shred over there on Pirate King Hondo, because I want to be able to deal more damage to him. He's got ungodly levels of survivability. So we got into our first ult over here, looking like it's going to be a little bit hopeful. We drop the hammer. Let's see how we do. Ultimate, boom. Only took out OG Hondo, unfortunately. So not as much damage as I was hoping for. And of course, that Pirate King Hondo can get his ultimate and immediately revive the OG Hondo. At this point, I was a little bit concerned, but not massively so. Part of the Attacker Datacron, of course, is when we're putting debuffs on them, we are increasing our damage output all the same. So also, Rey, when she's got inspiration and the enemy gains turn meter, which this team can do with Pirate King Hondo's second special, we are going to be raising mastery, so over time we are going to become more and more hard hitting. I use the Whirlwind there on OG Hondo. He can't revive from that is the chief thing, and because there are now less units on the enemy side of the field, that means the ultimate that we do from Rey is only getting split between 2 units instead of 3. So I figured that's a pretty decent way of getting things done. We've had some additional mastery increases, we've put some extra debuffs out there increasing our armor penetration. Do we do anything? It's still no. Still no. It's a little bit peaky, a little bit squeaky, a little bit squeaky bum time. I decided to focus on Pirate King Hondo. Don't know why. Just felt like the right thing to do at the time. Now, I'm using Cal here as the third. I think the better third is obviously Cat, but you're not going to use Cat. Yes, you can use Ezra if you want. You kind of almost make your Glat a little bit useless at that point, but hey-ho, sometimes you've got to make some sacrifices. In 3v3, I don't think it's entirely necessary, truth be told. I like to have Cal in here because it gives us a source of additional debuffs, and it also gives us a source of healing. So if you need to get your Rey back above that health threshold, so maybe you can use more Whirlwinds, or maybe you can use more Lifeblood, or maybe you don't run the risk of losing your Ben, then it's probably going to be worthwhile. So I decided to throw the Whirlwind at Vayne to try and bring him down to damage, but there is just so much recovery on this team. I was getting a little bit squeaky bum here, because we're 3 minutes in basically, and we're still struggling on taking out Vayne and Pirate King Hondo. And you see all of that recovery once again, just so much health and protection recovery. If you give them 2 turns, they're usually back to full health. Bop. And we do a nice trusty AoE. Lovely ult coming out of Rey, taking out that Vayne. I was like, oh, okay, I guess we've had some time to build up some additional stats, build up some additional mastery. And if we can now just get round to 1 more ultimate before Pirate King Hondo can actually gain another ult himself and revive that Vayne, we should be absolutely okay. Just look how chunky this Pirate King Hondo is, dude. Like, he took 1 turn, he recovered half of his protection and 25% of his max health. Very painful. Now I'm feeling confident, though, because it's just Pirate King Hondo, get the ult, wipe him off the board with a 670k hit. Decent banners all in all, 56, so it can work. Can work with this instance. No, I don't think he actually had a level 9 on his Pirate Cron. Still, good to know that that is a potential solution to Pirate King Hondo. This is where we went for the first test of the GAC. He has Rey, Ezra, Ben, all Relic 9, every single Omni, Attacker Cron level 6. Normally, Seer, Starkiller, Malakos does perfectly acceptable on this. We've got 7 Omicrons. And this is where you learn just how terrifying the Attacker Cron is, okay? Just how terrifying the Attacker Cron is. Because, you know, well, one, did the wrong move there. Definitely should have gone after Ben, not Ezra. But wait for it. Wait for it. Oh, no, that wasn't it. I was waiting for this move here. Here it comes. Whop! Okay, so Ben just casually clears out the board there. Let's see. Wait for it. What's he doing? 401,000 true damage. That's just 401,000 true damage and a 252,000 hit on Malakos himself. That attack also dispels buffs, and yeah, it's kind of scary. It's kind of scary. So I was like, all right. So that don't fly so well. That don't fly so well. Nah. So of course after that we went in with the old faithful reliable. We're taking in Slacker. We're taking in First Order TIE Fighter Pilot with their associated Cron. This is your safest counter to Rey in my opinion. I mean, you can argue whether or not you take in Rey or if you take in someone instead. Maybe you take in Hux, maybe you take in Crew. I was just used to taking in Dark Side Vision Rey. She immediately gets yeeted out, so it's kind of sad times. But all in all, you've got enough control on this team, so you can keep the enemy team controlled and stunned. You've got pretty much guaranteed survival with Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, because when Rey goes into ultimate, all you have to do is jump into your own ultimate and then you can't die, right? And all the time you can be drawing the mastery out of the ads, out of Ezra Exile and out of Ben. You've got the ability to keep them stunned almost perpetually thanks to that first special, which also critically can't miss, so you never have to worry so much about Ezra Bridger Exile. The most important part is, of course, just make sure that at any time you do not let Ben take too many turns. Just keep him stunned. It's far more important to drag the battle out. Make sure you always have your ult available for when Rey is in ult as well, so that you can always survive her ultimate. But as you see, really not too shabby. Not worried about Ezra Bridger Exile. Big hit there, 700k. And we got the cleanup nice and quick. We decide to throw Wampa in now against this Iden team. And yeah, Wampa obviously no longer has her Datacron. Big sad. However, if you've got a high relic Wampa, mine is relic 9 from well, actually mine is now relic 10. Thank you, community, for forcing me to R9, R10 my Wampa. And truth be told, you guys forced me to R9 the Wampa in the first place, so there is that. This is still a solid counter particularly if they don't have Scout Trooper in there, you're pretty much guaranteed to get through the full clear on this one. So don't worry too much about it. That Stormtrooper has only got Relic 5. Against a Relic 9 Wampa, we've got a +4 Relic Delta going on here. Even so, Stormtrooper is still incredibly tanky, and they are using... Oh no, I'm not sure. They're not using the Iden Cron, at least not a fully leveled up one. So all in all, not too bad here. And that should be that. Great, cool. So a nice easy 58 for us there. Lovely. Next up, we are going up against Jedi Master Mace Windu, R9 on Mace, R9 on Depper, Ayla R7, and they do have the Ayla Cron. I'm taking in Saw over here with just a standard bulk Cron, I believe. They do a lot of damage. They have got the Attacker Cron, and it all of a sudden changes things up a little bit with Mace Windu. He becomes quite a bit scarier when he's got that Attacker Cron. I can tell you that for nothing. So you do gotta kind of watch out for that one just a wee bit. Just a wee bit. It does get kind of scary. Granted, they also do have a bit of a Relic Delta advantage here. 2 Relic 9s, and I don't think any of mine are Relic 9 here. Bo-Katan's like Relic 7, that sort of thing, I believe. Just get that fear on Mace because I don't want him taking turns. I didn't want Ayla counterattacking either too much, but we do know that we need to get rid of her because she has got that level 9 Cron. Just look how tanky they are, dude. They're just absolutely taking chunks to the face and not even bothering us. Fortunately, we're saving Luthen's summon here to make sure that we can always get that, you know, useless guy, I think Xaereth calls him, coming back, because that's the only thing keeping this team alive at this point. Once again, throwing out the AoEs from Bo-Katan. Mace doing scary things at R9 and gets absolutely munched. Wonderful. Dapper Balaba, last person on the board at the moment. And we take care of her. So 56, we lost a banner. This does get scarier in future matches. Next up, we've got the Barriss Cron. So they are going in with Kelleran Beck and Jocasta Nu, who is of course busted at the moment. We're going in with a relatively standard counter over here, using Malgus, using Malak, and using DR. I took in DR because I didn't think I would need the DR Zalbar team in this particular matchup, and I wanted the extra fear to control the enemy team as much as possible. They do have the Helicron, which is going to be putting out some bad stuff to us, but I'm hoping that we can just focus down Jocasta Nu and defeat her before she has the opportunity to do too much. As you can see, she's getting feared out here. She's got the shock on her. But as soon as she picks up that gun, it's going to get a little bit messy. Unless, of course, the AI does things that is inexplicable, such as just choose not to throw the bomb at us. So she goes ahead and shoots us. She gets feared. She goes ahead and shoots us. She gets feared. She's got that protection recovery. Still working on her. Try and get round to that life drain. Nearly take her out there. Get the blind on her. Wonderful. And fear, and she's gone. Wonderful. That's the most important thing. The trick to beating Jocasta is oftentimes if you can get that fear on her, if you can get doubt on her, all that good business, you can usually control her enough so that she can't throw the bomb at you. Even if she does throw the bomb, you should realistically survive as well. After this, it's just a case of let's clear up all the ads and worry about Barriss later. She's not really going to do a whole lot on her own. And Kelleran Beck is not too much of a threat when he's lost Jocasta Nu. Still interesting to face this team. Nothing too crazy here. Nice amount of control getting out from my team. Look at how irritating Barriss is, though. She's practically unkillable half the time. 57, though. After this, we go for a trusty C solo. C solo against Malak, Malgus, and the Marauder over here. Now, this is using a Pirate Cron. They've not got an Attacker Cron or anything like that. It's nothing too crazy. Just figured, you know what? If I go ahead and hit ult, we should be absolutely fine here, right? Right? It's always a bit of a risk, you know? It's always a bit of a risk. I could just take in Wat here to, you know, sort of give me that comfort, give me that safety net. Make sure that I don't inexplicably die to people ramping up loads of damage where I can't quite compete. Not that that could possibly happen in this team, right? I've got the Delta. I mean, my C is R9. So is his Malak. His Malgus is R8. I think the Marauder over there is R7 or something like that. Anyway, I decided to go into the ult. Possibly, maybe a little bit too early to go into ult. Was that premature ult? Maybe. You know, maybe it was. Who knows? Because those of you that don't know with C, the longer you leave him pre-ultimate, the more his base mastery will raise. When he goes into ult, then he doubles all of his mastery. So the longer you leave it, the more powerful he'll be when he's in this form. Now, the problem is here, is that Malak just starts doing obnoxiously high damage. And like, I'm not quite sure what was causing it, but he's hitting me significantly heavily, and it just keeps ramping higher and higher and higher, and he keeps putting heal immunity on me, so I can't even absorb the damage. And of course, as you take Malak past certain thresholds, he gets more and more defense, so it becomes harder and harder to kill him. So yeah, maybe I should have linked Malak beforehand. Maybe I should have just taken in Wat, so I've got that protection recovery. Maybe I should have waited before ulting. But in the end, it gets very, very gnarly. As you can see, just at the end, we've got the shock on there, but Malak is still hitting us crazy amounts of damage. And of course, we're not doing enough damage to actually get any meaningful amounts of health steal. So we just end up dying, which is not my proudest moment. Not my proudest moment. Malak is just the better Sith Lord, apparently. I go in for the cleanup then with a JTR team because I thought, you know what, I just need heal immunity. Let's deal with the Malak and move on. Next up, I decide to completely overkill his Tuskens by taking in the Great Mamacitas. I casually give them a Datacron that's got like 200% armor penetration because why not? Why not? Did I have to use a counter this high? No, not really. But there wasn't really much use for me to use it elsewhere, so I just thought, you know what? Send in the Great Mamacitas. Funnily enough, if you give Great Mothers, a Relic Delta and boatloads of armor penetration and stuff like that, you're going to do good damage and you're going to wipe people off the face of the earth pretty quickly. I know, I was as surprised as you are. Turns out, they're a good team. Never saw that one coming. Next up, we go for a little bit of pirate on pirate action, or a mutiny, as I like to call it. We've got our Maz over here with Kix and Quiggold going up against the enemy Ithano, who is featuring Silvo and Brutus. Interesting team comp, actually. They do have the Omicron over there on Captain Silvo. They do have a Pirate Cron. So do we. Now, I was expecting us to perform a little bit better than what we did here. The constant foresight coming out of Ithano is so annoying, dude. In 3v3, it's just so hard to hit him all the time. And of course, they've always got that ability to just take one damage. Resilient defense, is that what it's called? I can't remember. And it never felt like I ever got to 5 stacks of profit on my boy Ithano, so I never felt like I could fear them either. I kept waiting for it to happen, and I kept on swapping targets and trying to kill somebody, and they kept on stealthing and getting foresight, and then they would recover, and then it was very frustrating. It was very frustrating indeed. I'd still look at him, Silvo. How are you alive? Stop being alive. All right, you're a pain, Silvo, an absolute pain. Eventually, we do get rid of Silvo. Bop him in the head just like that. But then you see, once again, the constant foresight that Captain Ithano generates. Every single time he takes a turn, he's just like, and you'll miss your next attack. I'm like, all right, fine. And then he revives. It's just like, oh my god. What do I have to do to make sure that these guys don't die? Do die, rather. And then Brutus does his thing where he's just like, actually, I think I'll pretty much murder you in a couple of hits. Brutus is a scary, scary attacker, guys. He's a scary attacker. But we do get the win here. Yay. Next up is fleets. So we're going up against the Profundity. No, with the Profundity up against the Home 1 over here. Home 1, scary team these days. I tend to just go all-out offense on fleet because I do not want to deal with dropping fleet battles and trying to struggle. I would much rather set a light fleet defense and guarantee that I can one-tap the enemy's fleet. That, to me, makes more sense. Profundity, one of the better counters to Home 1. The enemy can't really take advantage of any TM boosts when you've got the Profundity. It's just the way it is. They can't gain turn meter, so makes it a lot easier to deal with the opening barrage of attacks. Very important, I feel, to get rid of the Razor Crest as soon as not the Razor Crest, sorry, the Raven's Claw as soon as possible. They have the same initials, RC. It frustrates me. Get rid of him as soon as possible so that they can't get all those bonuses and can't keep on ignoring taunt and all that sort of big juicy business, and then just casually slap down the fleet. Now, I'm only going in with Rogue One as a reinforcement. You can usually save yourself some banners by only taking one reinforcement. You don't even really have to call him in. I just decided to because I thought when in Rome, or at least when in space above a random planet which might have a city called Rome somewhere on the surface, but it's probably doubtful. Either way, we go out, we hit ult, steal away their capital ship, see you later, honey, and clean up the remaining ships. Really not too bad using Profundity versus Home 1. You can also use an Executor lineup. I do highly recommend with Executor lineups you use your Houndstooth in the starting lineup with Razor Crest and your Punishing one, and make sure you focus down their Raven's Claw as early as possible so that they can't ignore Taunt when they have Foresight. Cool. Second fleet battle then, I decided to take out his Executrix using my Leviathan. When you've got Leviathan versus Executrix, you're pretty much going to win. You know, there's very few things that a Leviathan is going to struggle against, but you never know. This team that you set on defense is one that's deliberately designed to try and sap banners. So I went in there fully cognizant of that fact and just hoping against hope that maybe the silly drops that we've had already aren't enough for us to lose this particular battle. Go all in against the Imperial TIE Bomber over here, waiting to get over to target down that Scythe when we get the opportunity, because the Scythe is what really keeps this team frustrating with its fear and its cleansing and all of the additional bonuses. TIE Defender over there tried to carry this fleet to victory, but of course we had sabotaged the hangars, so he immediately decided to nope out, Iden deciding to go back home instead of actually engaging within this battle. And we clean up the fleets lickety-split, splickety-lick. Except that Scythe, man. That Scythe. I wish I had, you know, the same sort of ferocity that the AI has when we're attacking the Scythe. My Scythe always feels like it's made of paper. You know, like you just look at it, a side-on glance, and it dies. His Scythe, no. His Scythe wants to last forever. We do eventually take over the capital ship, though, and that's kind of all she wrote. Yeah, because they lose all of the benefits from their capital ship. Once they've lost it, you get to have additional firepower and buffs, slap down that Scythe real quick, mass assist into the Emperor shuttle, and in the end, we have good banners there because I didn't take in any reinforcements. Last fleet battle of the day then, we went in with our Bounty Hunters, our Executor matchup versus their Marauder. This is a pretty straightforward counter. Focus down on the Anakin, defeat him as soon as possible, and they will be forced to skip their AoE at the start so that they can get Unending Loyalty back on Anakin. He will be stealthed, but that kind of drops off because we've got them marked thanks to our Razor Crest over here, keeping Anakin out in the open so that we can just take him out twice. Anakin is, like, apart from the Marauder, Anakin is kind of the real threat here. Once Anakin goes, things do get quite a little bit easier. Of course, you do have to be a little bit cognizant of that Marauder, because Marauder is a scary, scary unit, guys. It can do a whole boatload of damage, and it's got tons of survivability. Absolute tons of survivability. Now don't forget, on your turns you can ignore crewless ships for this fleet, so take out, in this case I'm going after Ahsoka Tano because I don't want her in the game, and then we'll go after the Marauder. The reason I like to go after the Marauder instead of the Rebel Y-Wing is, BTLB Y-Wing, sorry, is because he's a very frustrating unit, and I want to try and recover the banners at the end of battle. He's got like a revive mechanic baked into his kit, where he always does this AoE, so I would rather take him out now so he can't use that at the end of the battle and sap some banners off of me. Also, it's just generally good practice, I feel. Go ahead, grab that death mark, throw that on him, and we should be able to take him out in a second here. He does keep on summoning units though, and I do find that to be rather irksome, especially when he gets that AoE off, sapping lots and lots of banners there. Alright, so Umbar and Starfighter and the BTLB Y-Wing are the only units left at this point. We are definitely going to clear out fleets with some decent banners, I would say. I think we're missing banners on pretty much everybody, so maybe not decent banners all in all, but hey, not too shabby. Got the ultimate off. Booyah! No more capital ship for you. Stunned units. Lovely. I tried to time this out a little bit so that maybe we could get in the death mark and recover some banners, but no such luck. 75 on all fleets there. We're facing off against Trench next, so I decided to take in my Balan Skull. This is massively overkill, I would say. Now, the Trench does have the Trench FTC. It's using Nuke Gunray and Django. I personally feel like using Dooku here is the better shout, but hey, that's just my preference. As you can see, this is a bit of a joke. Like, there's not really any contest here. You spend more time waiting for Django to come out of damage immunity than you do fighting the rest of the team. So, yeah, we're literally just playing the waiting game until he's done, and then we can, you know, make fun of him, really. Reenact the Battle of Geonosis with Django. We've got Tarkin clones, and I decide, hey, can we go in with just, like, Cal Kestis and JML? What could possibly go wrong here, right? Absolutely nothing. Now you do have to be a little bit concerned about Scorch, because if we dispel the taunt on Scorch, we are going to get marked with Order 66, which means the Disguised Clone Trooper will eat our Cal Kestis for breakfast, because every basic that Cal does, he does dispel. He does do a dispel. So here I'm like, well, I better do the coin on JML, because if I do the basic, I'm going to get that death mark, and then Disguised Clone Trooper is going to steal my lunch money. Don't want none of that. So I don't know why I decided to make my life so difficult. Just suffice it to say that I did decide to make my life more difficult. I don't understand me either, truth be told. I don't understand why I do the things I do, but the things I do indeed do. Can confirm. Can confirm. So I decided to try and throw a little bit of damage onto the Disguised Clone Trooper over here, try to get some work done on him, because honestly, once we've got rid of Disguised Clone Trooper, it doesn't really matter if we get Order 66. I'm not that fussed. But, you know, if we get it while he's still alive, he's going to be rather mean to us. I think we go ahead and pass over. Or do I go for the... Oh, looks like I went for the armor shred instead. I didn't realize that's what I was going to do, but I'm not mad about it. Not mad about it. Over here, I could have just called in. Yeah, I was going to say, doesn't matter if he doesn't have taunt. That's the thing that's going to give us Order 66 if we dispel the taunt off of Disguised Clone Trooper. Important part, of course, is to try and make sure that we can get rid of Disguised Clone Trooper as soon as possible. They are, of course, incredibly tanky. Keep calling in Cal. There's the savior mechanic. And I'm like, uh-oh, he's got taunt up. What can we do? That's okay. Not so okay. We had the call to assist. A little bit scary. So I try to get the stun on Disguised Clone Trooper and he resists it. And I'm like, uh-oh. Uh-oh. Am I in danger? Am I in danger? He's about to go. So let's increase his cooldowns maybe. And thankfully he decided to hit JML. He didn't ignore the taunt and go after Cal, unless I'm not entirely sure actually if he needs CX2 in the team for that. I forget. We managed to hit ult now, and that makes our lives a little bit easier because now Cal can ignore taunt effects, so makes it a lot easier. Don't have to worry quite so much. Focusing down on Disguised Clone Trooper. I don't advise people do this, by the way. This is making this battle needlessly complex for the sake of probably no better banners, because he would have been so much more efficient if I'd have taken in someone like Jedi Knight Luke or even Jedi Knight Revan to make our lives a lot easier. But hey-ho, I like apparently making my life difficult for very little gain, or actually for just hurting myself. Interesting, isn't it? Very interesting. All right, got the defeat there for 56. Next up, we have got Inquisitorius versus the new batch. I figured this should be kind of fun, right? I've got Reva, I've got Seventh Sister, I've got GI. This should be a piece of cake. Absolute piece of cake. And they decide to just dodge a bunch of attacks, which was rather annoying. I was like, that's just kind of rude, truth be told. We also dodge an attack, but it's mostly because Crosshair Scarred has got 20 stacks of Shaken and can't do anything. Funnily enough, Crosshair is almost impossible to defeat until he's taken his first 3 turns, because he's just got so much defense. Thankfully, they do now get all that death mark going. I don't know why I didn't target down Omega. She would have made much more sense. We could have gotten rid of her immediately. But hey-ho, Omega is now our target. Get rid of her. There we go. She's gone. Both people captured. And again, this is probably massively overkill as well. But when you're at the last couple of battles and you still have plenty of teams, what does it mean? It means you probably didn't set a tough enough defense and you're going to struggle because of it. There we go, we got the 57. Final team on the board then is Aphra, and as you can see, I still have JMK, I still have Glat, I still have Bane, I definitely set too weak of a defense here. I was expecting him to set more on defense. So because we have Bane, I took in Bane with Sith Empire Trooper, I just threw a massive health cron on him, and I decide to well, this is called when you Bane something, I guess. That's what you call when you Bane something. Alright, 57 pants. So my final score there was 2034, and if we were to review the final score, he came out with a 2054. So yeah, we lost by 20 banners, probably because we did silly stuff like I wanted to test this just to see how it plays out, and this sieve thing obviously cost me the match, but hey ho, there we go, lessons learned. So that actually took a lot longer than I thought it would, and I don't want to cover the rest of the 2 battles now because this would turn into a 2-hour-long video. Now, if that sort of video concept appeals to you guys at home, please let me know in the comment section. But as for now, I will just leave that first round review almost up as it is. If you want to see the rest of the two, let me know in the comments section. I will do that. And if this video does pretty well, make sure you give it a like and all that sort of good business. Then I'll continue to do these sort of individual match reviews for you. All right, sweet. Guys, I love you all. I'll speak to you very soon. Peace out. May the Force be with you.